I've often thought that I was born a century too late. I would have given anything to have been able to make moonshine back in the old days, you know, because that's when the thrill of it, you know, and you were an outlaw.
What was once an illegal product is now a legal product.
My dad rolled over in his grave now if he knowed it's legal.
The laws changed for us in late 2009, early 2010. You know, we became Tennessee's first legal moonshine distillery.
It opened the door for an opportunity to do something again that was native to this area, that was a part of our past family culture, and it just went crazy fast. It went viral.
Moonshine is becoming pretty cool for the rest of the world, and so just to be able to make that available and continue to share it. As folks from Appalachia, we have this rebellious spirit that's just part of who we are, and I think that there's something that's captivating about that story.
It goes back to the respect that we had for what our family did.
It's a tradition, it's heritage, it's pride.
It ain't like Bonnie and Clyde movies, drink moonshine, get out here and shoot up a town. A lot of people thought that was all moonshine was served, but it ain't. It's a lot different than that.
It's easy, I think, in a lot of ways in Hollywood or wherever to sort of create this negative caricature of hillbillies. For those of us that are from here, we're proud to be hillbillies, and we're proud to be who we are, and we've got a long past that we just wanted to share with the rest of the world.
You dream a lot. Very seldom do you actually get to ride a dream.
We've built something here we call the Holler. People can walk in here. There's always a bluegrass band playing.
Oh yeah, we always have fun here. We try to make it a fun experience for everyone. We have rocking chairs, we have live entertainment every day, and people get to come in and taste and look around and enjoy some music and some bluegrass.
You can see everything that we're doing, all the fermenters. You can see the moonshine running off the stills. And then you can actually sample our products and buy them here. You know, we have moonshine-infused foods, for instance. We have lots of things, so a little bit for everybody.
Okay. It tastes like a Jolly Rancher.
It was so good.
This is somewhere people can spend some time, enjoy, learn some heritage, and kind of see what we're doing.
We have tours where people could actually come back in the distillery, but that's why we have Bruce sitting out there.
I thought maybe that was just for looks right there. No, that's the real deal.
We don't want anybody to walk through here and not at least get acknowledged and learn something about moonshine if they want to. Because most people, if you're not from this area, a lot of people won't know anything about it.
Gatlinburg is situated at the foot of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. We are surrounded on 3 sides by the park. When the park was formed, a lot of the families that were living in that area that were moonshining were displaced and came down into the city of Gatlinburg. Being the first legal distillery in the state of Tennessee and to have Old Smoky Moonshine birthed right here in Gatlinburg, we're just delighted, and it is an honor to have them here.
Gatlinburg's where this started, and my family's been here in the mountains for over 200 years, and when we talk about success and we talk about growth, it all comes back here, and the folks that work here, the families that have built this business, not just mine, but all the families that you've talked to, the people that have really created this brand. That's what it's all about. So, you know, for us to do all of that in my hometown is special.
It has taken our little mountain town of 3,900 full-time year-round residents to an international platform.
To have somebody in another part of the world hold that mason jar and drink from it and feel what, you know, the way that we enjoy spirits, what we know as a real mountain spirit and the mountain way, that's my passion.
They have raised the awareness of the heritage and the culture of our area. And so they have opened a new facet of the story of the Appalachians and who we are as a people and of Gatlinburg. And that has been really unique for us. We appreciate them being here and helping us tell that story.
it's brought more people to the area, so it's definitely enhanced the Gatlinburg experience.
You know, when we built this place, all the walls around us are covered in barnwood, and those are barns that were torn down and repurposed from right here, you know, within a few stones throw of our town.
We've actually recreated with all the old reclaimed barns. I think we're up to 12 barns here in this facility. Everything's authentic. Each piece of wood in here has a story to tell.
When it was settled in the early 19th century, Gatlinburg was initially known as White Oak Flats for the profusion of white oak trees in the region. Great Smoky Mountain National Park is the most visited national park in the United States, with over 9 million visitors a year, which is twice the annual attendance at any other park.
Moonshining was almost a lost art, you know, because the people in my generation really didn't embrace it like the people of the last generation, because they didn't need to do it. You know, there was tourism here and things of that nature. So I definitely think Joe was always real proud of his family heritage, and he always loved this area. And I think that there was a definite effort to bring it back to the forefront and, you know, not to let it be lost to history.
Our state song, Rocky Top, has a line in it that says that corn don't grow at all on Rocky Top. And it talks about the soil being too rocky. And so people got their corn from a jar. And in that line of our state song, there's a whole lot that can be taken from that. And the simple part of it is the people that lived here could take the corn, the little bit of corn that they could grow on the side of a mountain, and they could turn it into a jar of liquor and get a much greater return on their investment by selling that. There's an awful lot of tough folks from the mountains, and I think that, you know, to be able to figure out that they can get by with what they've got, that's, I like that.
We growed up, it's way of life around here. There wasn't much more to do. I mean, I guess that's the way they was brought up, and I guess they kind of brought us up that way.
My grandparents lived really rough through the Depression and all that. I mean, they didn't know any better than to, I mean, that's all they knew was to make a little money to make a moonshine.
You always take care of your family regardless of what's going on. You know, whether you got it all or got nothing, you make a way to take care of your family.
It's woven into the fabric of your life.
So I'm just 14 years old when I started, so they wasn't nothing to do. You might make $1 a week or something for out here to cutting backer or something like that, or $1 a day, and that was about it. I had 5 sisters, a brother, and a mother and a dad. Yeah, my dad got sick and nobody there, so I just had to go do it.
You can't buy stuff like that. You can't, you know, you can go to Hollywood and you can read scripts and everything. You spend 5 minutes with them, none of us are scripted.
They were in it before it was ever legal, and they grew up in it, and their fathers and grandfathers made moonshine, and they're the real deal.
I think that there's a respect and appreciation for what people here have gone through, and our families. You know, it wasn't easy to get by.
My grandfather had to make a decision. You know, do I sell a bushel of corn for 50 or 75 cents a bushel, or do I turn it to liquid corn and make $15 or $20 a bushel? So, you know, it was a means to supplement income. And
you know, it wasn't something that was done with a whole lot of malice or you know, this mean-spirited kind of way. It was truly just a way to make sure that their kids ate and that the family survives.
Our family taught us with the hard work, you got to be passionate about it. And you know, if you're not going to put your whole heart into it, then you're just wasting your time.
We take a lot of pride in now being able to celebrate, you know, the pieces of what made us, and you know, it's people like Bruce and Gomer that you know, I hold in high regard.
The moonshine helped not just our family, but a lot of families around here. And my stepdad, he went to pen for making it. He got caught. So him and his 3 brothers died.
My grandparents were both born in the national park here, and they hunted for food, grew a garden for vegetables, fished for fish, and the way they made their money was to make moonshine, you know. So it's definitely a way of life and tradition here.
My mom's family was one of the first families to settle here in Tennessee, so a lot of Scotch-Irish descent, and of course, they were making moonshine documented through the family well over 100 years. So like I say, there's no, it's not actual theme, it's actual life, it's real.
My mom, she was the youngest of 15 kids, and you know, to hear stories of people who were living in a couple of rooms with big families and just trying to get by.
Bruce is the real deal. He really made moonshine, and you'll learn that Gomer's the same way. Both of those guys, they were in it before it was ever legal, and they grew up in it.
These guys have forgot more about moonshine than we'll ever remember, you know.
He's got the real world knowledge, you know. We know how to make it as far as by books go and using this big equipment and everything, but the old school knowledge is what you have by having a guy like Bruce. That's what he brings to the table.
I had a good neighbor, lived about 3 miles from me, and that's all he done all his life. And he said we was in kind of a bad stage where we didn't have nothing to eat. And he come to me and wanted to know if I wanted to help him, so I volunteered. In about 2 or 3 weeks, I was right there with him helping him. He learned me everything that he knows, so that's where I learned to make moonshine. My mother would go to town every 2 weeks and bring the groceries in. We never did go hungry anymore. I promised her I'd take care of her, and that's what I done.
I mean, a lot of these places you'll go in and it's a bunch of people that are my age that might know moonshine, but not like those guys do. They know it on this end and on the end that it used to be, where their families had to do it to survive and where they did it in the woods, you know.
A lot of us kids would went hungry if we didn't have something to pick up out of where Pap worked. It's hard to feed 12 kids. So anything you can do helps. So that's the only thing we did was shine and backer. Grow backer and evening, make shine days evening. When you got 11 brothers and sisters, it's hard to feed that many.
Often seen on the side of big clay jugs, XXX stands for moonshine that has been distilled 3 times. After one pass through the distilling process, the liquor was weak and full of impurities. An X on the side of the container stood for each pass through a still. After the 3rd pass, the final X was added, guaranteeing the moonshine was almost pure alcohol.
What makes a good moonshine? Corn, rye, wheat, sugar. Mix it up and ferment it off, work it off, and run it. That makes a good moonshine.
We've got a venue now where we can share a part of that, share the experience, share some know-how. We have it set up where people can walk through, do a self-guided tour and get history and you know, kind of the process and everything. And then you know, I tell people, I say, we're able to educate people about moonshine, and then after we educate them, then they can recreate, you know, they can taste a little moonshine. So it's full circle.
I think that people are starting to recognize moonshine as a category, as a new spirit, something new to drink. And when moonshine's done right, it's actually a very nice, consumable, you know, alcohol.
You've got a lot of public that have heard about it, and the first thing, you know, it's going to burn, it's going to be bad. After that one taste, it sells itself. It's not a hard sale.
Basically what I do is I'm designing the grain bill, the grains we use, such as corn, rye, wheat, barley. You know, there's percentages that we use, you know, based on water, and then just basically making really good cuts on the still and getting that good moonshine out of it.
A good moonshine is a good corn. You got a little bit of a corn taste in your alcohol. I mean, it's just like a good whiskey, just a smooth, easy to drink, sipping whiskey. All the corn's grown and milled locally. So, you know, that way you've got corn that's been grown here for thousands of years. The corn will go into a silo, and from there we'll bring it over to the mill. Then it's ground fresh and brought here.
Basically what makes a good moonshine is the grain that you're using and the cuts that you make on the still, the heads, the tails cut, and what you actually save to put in that bottle. That's really what makes a quality moonshine.
Start by cooking the corn, Then we bring it into one of the fermenters. What happens in that process is the yeast actually eats the sugars in the corn and produces alcohol.
After say 3-4 days, that mash will be completely fermented. It'll make about 8% alcohol. We'll then pump it into this big pot still behind us and get the alcohol out of that mash.
After we produce the amount of alcohol, all it's going to make, we bring it into the still and cook it off. We want to heat it up hot enough to turn the alcohol into steam and then condense it back to liquid and only get the alcohol out of the mash.
You know, we can bring grain in and be putting it in a bottle back in a case in 5 days. It's a pretty quick process. We've grown quite rapidly, and I think a lot of it's just because, you know, we're a family-owned company and we do put out a good, consistent product.
When we started the brand, we wanted to reach that level of authenticity that was beyond reproach, something that couldn't be questioned. And moonshine has evolved over the years, but for our ancestors that were making whiskey in the early days of settling these mountains, it was made with corn. And so taking the freshest of ingredients from corn that's locally milled and having a product that is truly authentic in that way, maintaining a high level of quality of corn liquor, to me that's where our true success is.
Bootleggers got their name from colonial times, when they would hide the bottles in their tall riding boots. They went on to using automobiles to try to outrun the authorities. The bragging rights of fastest cars and drivers led up to the forming of NASCAR.
These guys were tinkering with engines, trying to stay a step ahead of the revenuers and the law enforcement.
Well, you could soup them up. You could put Buick motors in them, or you could just put Chevrolet motors or whatever, and you can soup them up and make them run faster. And they was kind of low to the ground. They'd hang in the curves and stuff, so that's the reason we done it.
You know, people were souping these cars up and they're running from the law, and you know, these people are becoming very good drivers. So when they met, you know, down in Daytona on the beaches to see who had the fastest car and who was the best driver, I mean, you know, that's pretty much where the moonshiners come from.
I had 16 cases of liquor in the car, and I was drunk a little too much, and I got out, and the car come up behind me, and I thought it was the revenuers.
They grew up on these back roads, and, you know, trial and error. You don't use the brake, you know, it's just a gas pedal, and then whatever's going to stop you is going to stop you.
And I got a little fast and flipped the car and broke all my liquor, skinned up, jumped out and run off, and come find out it's one of my buddies trying to run me down. But that's just the way we used to do back then.
They learned to navigate the roads, and you know, and they kept an upper hand for a long time, up until radios came into play, you know, for law enforcement, and then that kind of evened the playing field.
You can get out and tell people, well, I outrun this feller, I done that, and just bragging rights about it, what he did.
You know, very innovative Appalachian MacGyvers, maybe is lack of a better word. You know, they would have decoy cars. You know, they'd have spotters and everything. Like I say, it was their livelihood, so it was a make or break deal.
And to see who can make the best moonshine. People get out and talk, well, Bruce Whaley made this moonshine over here, and that's pretty good, and, you know, stuff like that. We run 410 barrels, so that was 2,000 gallons. And average week is about 70 or 80 bucks. Where everybody else was making $10, $15 a week, I was making 70 or 80 bucks a week.
And we're trying to do the same thing that people did out in the woods. I mean, our fermenters are open. We open the doors here every day. You know, we're just regulated by the government now.
Yeah, at least you don't have to look around over your shoulder and worry about the revenue sneaking up on you or something. So we got her made now. We got somebody watching her back. Oh, Uncle Sam's watching her back, I reckon.
Distilling moonshine is a remarkably simple process, requiring 4 main ingredients: corn, sugar, yeast, and water. Corn can be substituted with various ingredients, including barley, rye, or fruit, but corn is most often used because it's cheap and easy to obtain.
Moonshining kind of shaped America as we know it now, you know, from the barrel aging, going from charred moonshine up to a 6-year, 7-year bourbon and whiskey aging. You know, moonshiners were responsible, and it was a trial and error story on that end as far as the aging process in a charred oak barrel. How NASCAR originated from the moonshine runners. During Prohibition, a lot of the South's white liquor made its way north, you know, into Chicago, New York, and everything. Organized crime. They were getting very little illegal liquor out of Canada. And so they found out a bunch of crazy hillbillies down south were making white liquor, so it made its way up north. So the Yankees were drinking moonshine, or their forefathers were, and didn't even realize it.
I'm proud to be able to give back to our town. We've created a lot of jobs here. I'm proud to give back to the state, and it's nice to be able to know that you're affecting lives positively. So it's, you know, these are my friends. I went to high school with a lot of them. A lot of folks that work here I'm related to. I've got a whole lot of cousins, and it's special. I mean, it means a lot. Just like anything else, you want to do good for people. To be able to source our corn locally and get good grains to make whiskey here in Tennessee and mill it here in Tennessee, all of that is a lot of, you know, it's a lot of fun to be a part of celebrating your hometown. I'm proud when I get a text message of somebody that saw an Old Smoky t-shirt in Costa Rica, or somebody's buying it over there overseas. It's just that the sharing of our culture is in a positive, authentic way. That's to me, that's success.